Good evening, everyone. I'm the storyteller, and I'm here to help you drift off to sleep with these horror stories that took place in a shopping malls. Before we start, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video. I'd love to know where you're from and what time you're watching this, so kindly leave a comment. It was a chilly Saturday evening, and the mall was crowded with families, couples, and groups of friends, all soaking in the warmth of bright store lights and the hum of conversation. I was 16 at the time. My dad and I had gone to a bookstore, just browsing for something to read. It was one of those big chain bookstores with a little cafe inside, and my dad had wandered off to grab a coffee while I stayed near the mystery novels. I was flipping through a book when I noticed someone standing a few feet away. It was an older woman, maybe in her late 60s, staring at me. At first I thought nothing of it. Maybe she was just looking for a book too, but then she spoke. "You've grown so much," she said, her voice thick with emotion. I looked up, confused. Sorry?" She took a step closer, her eyes welling up with tears. "I knew I'd find you again," she whispered. "I never stopped looking." A cold shiver ran down my spine. She was looking at me like I was someone she had lost, someone important. My first thought was that she had mistaken me for a grandchild, or someone she knew from long ago. But before I could say anything, she reached out and gently took my hand. "I'm so sorry I let you go," she choked out. "I never should have left." I pulled my hand back instinctively. "I think you have the wrong person," I said as politely as I could. She just shook her head, smiling sadly. "You don't remember yet, do you?" I felt a pit form in my stomach. "Remember what?" She sighed and wiped her tears away. "They took you from me. I tried to get you back, but they said you were gone. But I always knew you'd come back." I took a step back. This wasn't just a simple case of mistaken identity. This woman genuinely, wholeheartedly believed I was someone I wasn't. Just then my dad returned, his coffee in hand. The second he saw my face, he frowned. "Hey, everything okay?" The woman looked up at him, her whole expression changing. Her eyes darkened, and for the first time she looked angry. "You kept her from me," she hissed under her breath. My dad stiffened. "Excuse me?" She turned back to me, her face softening. "Don't let them fool you," she whispered. "You know who you are." And then, just like that, she walked away, disappearing into the aisles. I stood there, heart pounding, feeling like I'd just stepped out of a nightmare. My dad put a hand on my shoulder. "Who was that?" I shook my head. "I have no idea." To this day, I still think about that woman, about what she said. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wonder, what if she was telling the truth? For the rest of the time we were in the bookstore, I felt on edge. I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting the woman to reappear, to grab my arm and tell me more about this supposed past she thought I had. But she never came back. My dad and I left soon after. I didn't tell him everything, just that a strange woman had mistaken me for someone else. He seemed concerned but didn't push. That night, though, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I kept replaying her words. "They took you from me. I always knew you'd come back." Who did she think I was? What did she mean by they? I lay in bed for what felt like hours before finally drifting off to sleep. And that's when the dreams started. I was standing in a dimly lit room. The air was thick with the scent of lavender and something metallic like rust or old coins. A wooden rocking chair sat in the corner, creaking slightly even though no one was in it. And then I heard it. A voice. Soft. Familiar. "I found you." I turned around, my heart pounding. But before I could see anything, I woke up. My room was dark, but something felt different. I turned toward my door and froze. It was open. I never sleep with my door open. A chill ran down my spine. I sat up slowly, listening for any sound. Nothing. just the quiet hum of the house settling. I got up, walked over to the door, and peered down the hallway. Empty. Maybe my dad had checked on me, I told myself. Maybe I left it open by accident. But deep down, I knew better. The next day at school, I tried to shake it off, but something lingered. A strange sense of familiarity in places that should have been mundane. A creeping feeling that someone was watching me. And then, a week later, I saw her again. I was waiting outside for my dad to pick me up when I felt it, that prickling sensation on the back of my neck. I turned, and there she was, standing across the street, watching. She didn't move, didn't wave, just stood there, her eyes locked onto mine. A bus passed between us, and for a split second, I lost sight of her. When it passed, she was gone. I don't know what she wanted. I don't know if I'll ever see her again. But sometimes, late at night, I still dream of that dark room, of the creaking rocking chair, and of a voice whispering, "I found you."